and welcome to the Alex Urbina radio show. Today we're live in the KHTS studio in beautiful downtown Newhall, California, and I'm hanging out with my lovely co-host, Ellen Tunick. Welcome back to the show.
Good afternoon.
It's good to be back.
Yes, it is.
Live.
Always.
In the hot seat. This show is all about life coaching and how to create maximum value for yourself from a life coach, or from the simple willingness to be open to all possibilities. And if you're open to all possibilities, then there's room for you to grow, to continue to evolve, to have breakthroughs, to strengthen your self-awareness such that you're able to make certain decisions that ultimately changes your life and improves it and the quality of your life, just to be overall better and more powerful in your decisions. And so today, we're going to be talking about how to have an extraordinary relationship. Now, I know a lot of times you come in, you're like, what are we talking about today? And I don't always prep you. And it just...
That's good, though. I like it.
I like it, too, because it makes it organic.
Yes.
And so when a few minutes ago, you're like, what's the show about when I tell you? And then there's that little chuckle. I'm wondering, what's the chuckle about? Is it, all right, where's he going to go with it? Right? Yeah, because we could take it 100 different ways, right?
The chuckle is being a control person like I am and
okay.
a planner.
Okay.
But I forced myself. Like I don't text you the night before and go, what are we talking about? So I can create my personal agenda.
I didn't know that you are a controller and that you actually mindfully stop yourself from reaching out and trying to control it.
I know that not knowing what the show is going to be about for me is better. I think it's better for our listeners because it just instantly comes from the heart, hopefully. And I don't have this agenda in my head. So, yes, I am a controller.
Awesome. I, too, am a controller. And so today's show, I didn't do any prep for it, which I feel like there's some shows I prep and they're great. And there's some shows I don't prep and that are greater. So it just depends, right?
Yeah.
But I like just having it be organic. And today, probably a couple hours ago, I was like, what do I want to talk about today? And this little voice hit me in my heart. And it was, let's talk about having an extraordinary relationship, because it's kind of the theme that I've been working on with people and with couples lately. So I want to talk about that. You good?
Okay, I'm
All right.
good.
So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to your relationships, I want you to think about your relationships and ask yourself, has it ever gotten to a point where it just feels dull or it feels like it's just dragging?
Yes.
Has it ever gotten to a point where I feel like, where's the fun? Where did it go? Because I'm sure at some point all relationships start out fun and exciting, right?
Yes.
And then as we get to know our partners and as we start to learn a little bit about them and they learn about us, I feel like there's a certain point where relationships or marriages just kind of come to where it just drags a little bit.
It's static.
Or
it
dies out,
static.
right? Yeah, and just kind of is just there. And quite often I've heard, some couples just say, we're good friends. We love each other, but I'm not sure if I'm still in love with each other. And so,
what does that mean?
Well, it means that to me, it's code for, hey, Alex, I need help because I feel like the connection is not there anymore, or we've grown apart, or we've disconnected.
So in love is a connection?
Absolutely. For me, when
yes.
when I'm like 100% in love, it means I've had this connection with my wife or with my husband that it's a constant 3 or 4 times or 8 or 12 times a day we're reconnecting back, whether it's emotionally, whether through it spiritually or physically. A lot of times there's couples that they stop touching.
Yeah.
They stop holding hands. They grew up not really being affectionate, so they don't touch at all unless they're going to be intimate, right? But what I'm saying is that they don't throughout the day. Like the husband won't come up and just start rubbing his wife's back, or the wife won't walk up and rub her hands or fingers through her husband's hair. They're just not physically affectionate type people. And then they wonder at year 7 or year 12, at year
happened?
30, they're going, hey, I feel like there's something missing. And then they'll either reach out and then I get to support them in recreating either a new connection or teaching them how to connect for the very first time.
First time ever.
Which is it's not rare or uncommon to have couples who have never really learned how to be vulnerable and how to connect at a deeper level. So let's say they've only learned just the basics, like 1, 2, 3, and they don't realize that it goes on, the numbers go on deeper at a whole nother level.
Well, just looking back on 30 years of marriage, it goes through so many different phases. The phase of the children, having to pour everything into your children. And I think what I was missing was everything was about the kids. We forgot to make everything about us. And then as they grow and don't need you anymore, you better look across that table and be able to have a conversation with that person. And it's like, do you know them anymore? Or do you know them only as a father and you forgot what they are as a husband or as a wife?
And it's very common to lose that disconnection when all of a sudden you go through that phase where we both bunker up and we're committed to our kids.
Right.
And it's very easy to now, the relationship with your husband or your wife becomes now in the back seat, and you just throw in a box, you put a cover over it, and then dust starts to collect over it. And then once they're gone, you try to go back and go, let's uncover this again.
Right.
Or you start questioning, do I even want to go back and go back to that old thing that we threw in the cup?
But it doesn't really have to be like that.
It doesn't if you're aware of it, like the conversation we're having now.
Right.
Because some people are listening that are just brand new in relationships and are going, oh my God, I don't want my relationship to be like that.
How do I keep it alive?
And then there's some people that are in the middle of the relationship actually feeling that, going, oh my God, this is the perfect time to listen to this podcast or this radio show. And there's some that have been like, I've been stuck in that for the last 10, 15 years, and now I want to hear what they have to say.
Right.
So with that being said, I'm just going to move forward and keep creating value for you on this topic called How to Have an Extraordinary Relationship. So starting with that, I want you to not think of how do I have anything? How do I have this relationship called extraordinary? I want you to start looking through the filters called how do I create an extraordinary relationship? Because if you're in the mindset of I'm marrying you because you're an exciting person and you're going to bring that excitement into to the relationship that I get to be a part of, good for me. Like I'm excited because I scored that type of personality that's bubbly and happy. There's certain people that walk into a room and they engage and they're fun to be around, and so they're attractive, right? And so you be attractive to those types of people, and you're like, yes, I'll marry you. And then when that person year 3, year 7, year 12, for whatever reason, just stops being that, whether they go through their own challenges or they get psychologically or emotionally get stuck somewhere, and then they stop bringing the joy and the fun. Now where are you at? Now you're at a place where you're like,
I don't like you anymore.
You no longer do it for me no more.
Yeah.
So now
I'm over you.
So now I'm gonna divorce you and go find someone else. And then so that model doesn't work because now you're just chasing everyone who's going to bring you a temporarily excitement and extraordinary fun and joy and happiness. So you're looking for someone outside of you to bring the joy and the happiness into the relationship.
That's so common.
So, yeah, it is. And it's so common because we're unaware that we're doing that. So that's called a dependency. You're in a codependency relationship where you're dependent on someone else bringing joy and fun and excitement into your relationship, right? So I started off saying, when you don't think of having a relationship, you got to think of how do I create it? So that means if you're sitting there saying, my relationship is boring, well, basically what you're saying is that you are boring.
That I'm boring, yeah.
Or if you say, there's no fun in my relationship, that basically means you're no fun. If you say there's no more excitement, there's no longer excitement in my relationship, then you have to be willing to look at, well, maybe I'm not exciting. Which now puts you in that category of, well, maybe I've been waiting for someone else to create it for me. If you've been waiting for your husband to reignite the relationship and do a 360 and now start adoring you and showering you with love, and you might be waiting for a lifetime for that to happen. If you're waiting for your wife to all of a sudden, go through that sexy phase where she's now coming on to you and telling you how handsome you are and all that, you might be waiting for a lifetime. If you're waiting for someone else to cause the experience that you really desire
for
in a relationship, you might be waiting forever until you decide that I can't wait anymore. Now you're going to go try to
Look
find
for it
it in
somewhere
someone
else.
else. And I guarantee you the universe will bring someone else
Oh, yeah.
that's going to start going, hey, good looking, how are you?
Yeah.
And then you're
And
now
you're going to say, this is just what I was looking
yes,
for.
yes.
See, I knew it was
yeah,
out there.
Yeah, and now you're validating your own worth and your own sexiness and your own validation through somebody else outside of your marriage. And your marriage with your husband or your wife, there's still a spark there. There's still a love there that if you sat down and were taught how to co-create that with them, it's possible to re-spark that up and create an extraordinary relationship from now to the day that both
Don't
of you
you
guys die.
think that people forget the beauty of the history that two people bring to the
I
relationship?
do, absolutely. And that's a lot of what I do when I sit down with the couple, is to take them back and reconnect
Yeah.
back to that. And quite often they go, and they're sitting there crying, with the tissue
I
going,
forgot
I forgot how
that.
much,
Yeah, I forgot how that feels.
and how much you, and what you mean to me, right?
Yeah.
And it's just because we slowly drift away, we slowly disconnect, and it's subtle. It's real subtle. It's month after month, year after year,
Minute after minute. Yeah.
and we just, to the point where we just look back at the person and we go, "Who are you?"
Right. This isn't the person I married.
That's right.
I think that's the standard
That's right.
line. You're
Yeah.
not the person I married. Well, yeah, they are.
Yeah, and so if you decide that instead of looking for an extraordinary relationship to fall out of the sky, or to just jump out of someone else across from you to land into the relationship, you have to choose to say, if it's to be, it's up to me. I get to bring the joy in this relationship. I get to bring the fun in this relationship. I get to bring all the excitement that I'm looking for in that other person to bring. I have to bring it first. Now this is what's an amazing relationship to me. When said person decides that, and then their counterpartner says, I decide it too. Imagine having
Bingo.
husband and wife both deciding that they're going to take 100% accountability for the fun, the excitement, and the joy and the happiness in the relationship. Imagine both of you coming from that 100% committed to bringing that.
Yeah, because it seems that there's always, everybody's on a little different timeline, But I think the whole thing breaks down to, I have to be able to ask, explain, and show up to be the person that I want to be. And so a lot of times, and for many, many years, I held this expectation that he should know. He should know what I like. He should know what to buy me. He should know. And the bottom line is, they don't always know, and that's okay. It's so if I have to be able to say, this is what I'm looking for, and this is what I really need from you right now, and that person has to come back and go, I'm listening to you and I'm hearing you. That didn't happen for me for a long time, until I realized I can't just have an expectation. I have to be that person that says, this is me, and this is what me needs, and this is what me requires to be, and that it was wonderful. I mean, I think it changed. It gave us a shift.
And that stage is a great stage to be at on your way to getting to deciding
Yes.
that I get to bring it 150%, that which I'm looking for. So we'll go back and dial back to that stage. That stage is you deciding that you're going to learn how to communicate and ask for what you need, that you're going to decide how to articulate what you feel is missing, and then invite that person to bring that into the relationship.
Yes.
But that's still not you deciding, you know what, if it's missing, I'm going to figure out how to create it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's two totally different things.
But they
work together.
They do, because they're on the same journey called I'm responsible for my own experiences. So in your version at that stage, you're responsible for communicating to your partner what it is you like and what it is that you need.
And
because
who I am.
Yeah, and because if you're not doing it, the other person has no clue, but yet you're sitting there with the expectation that they do, and then you're upset that you're not getting it.
Right.
So that's number one. That's the first stage but it's still coming from the mindset of I'm responsible for my own experiences, even if I'm in a relationship with someone else where we're co-creating it. Then there opens up the possibility that your partner doesn't know how to communicate effectively. That's a whole other topic and a whole other show called learning how to communicate effectively. Or there's a possibility that your partner doesn't know how to share deeply.
Right. Yes.
So now what?
Well, I think sharing deeply goes back to that word, which I think we all have to work so hard on, which is being authentic and being open and honest and not being protective all the time of your heart, the vulnerability word. I don't think couples can communicate effectively if they're not being vulnerable, because are you really expressing what you're really feeling? Is that person getting to hear what it is that's in your heart?
Yeah. So in the question of, hey, Alex, my wife doesn't know how to communicate with me or have deep conversations, or, you know what, I would love to have deep conversations with my husband. He just doesn't go there. Then you have to be open to the possibility, well, maybe you guys are in love and came into this relationship to teach each other something. So what would it look like if you want deeper conversation and a deeper connection, and your husband or your wife doesn't know up until now, based on results, they don't know how to go there? What if you decided that you get to teach them how? Rather than being upset and annoyed and disappointed because they just don't know how to be that for you.
The blame game.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of being frustrated that, he doesn't give me what I really want, which is intimacy, having deep, meaningful conversations. He's just very shallow. Well, that's the guy you fell in love with. And then now all of a sudden you have an awareness where that's what you want now, but he's not giving it to you. Right? Yeah. It's not his fault that both you guys, possibly being unconscious at the level you were, fell in love with each other. And then you started to awaken. Right? You went on your own journey, started to awaken and want and desire more. And he hasn't, or she hasn't.
Then what happens?
Then what happens? You either have to decide, because I love him or her with all my heart, I get to teach him or her. So I got to come back, handhold that person, and teach them how to have deep, meaningful conversations, which means you're going to have to be patient, and you're going to have to lead by example. And when that happens, it's an amazing relationship. When husband or wife decides, I'm going to teach my husband, I'm going to teach my wife how to have these deep, meaningful conversations, rather than being upset and disappointed that they don't already know.
The expectation. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so then what would it look like if you invited your husband or wife to engage more or have more conversations, and then through your questions, through your curiosity, you're taking it deeper and deeper, and before he or she knows it, you guys have embarked on this beautiful journey of conversation where now all of your conversations are meaningful and loving and loving and compassionate and understanding of each other, all because you decided that this is what I want my relationship to look like. And instead of being the victim and blaming him or her because they don't already know how to do that, I've just decided, because I know a little bit more and it's what I want, then I get to learn how to teach my partner how to do that. That would be a beautiful way to look at your relationship, and it's a more powerful way, rather than being the victim and blaming them because they don't already know.
And then now it's farther and farther and farther.
And then now that's your excuse to say, I gotta go find it somewhere else.
And thinking that would happen.
We got to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to take it to a whole nother level. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly, or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, SCV.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association is celebrating our 30th anniversary at the Hyatt Regency Friday, November 1st. This year, there's a free art show from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. filled with multiple art demonstrations, musical entertainment, a fine art exhibition, silent auction, jewelry booths, and more in the Grand Ballroom. The ticketed gala begins at 5 with entertainment by Lance Allen, a live auction led by Councilman Bob Keller, followed by our Art Awards ceremony. Purchase tickets for only $25 at santaclaritaartist.org.
California Credit Union, the only credit union in Santa Clarita focused on our educational community. California Credit Union offers low rates on loans for personal and business services, along with financial services for teachers, students, staff, and families. Free checking and very low new and used auto loan rates.
California Credit Union, your personal credit union, located in the River Oak Shopping Center next to Target.
Visit us and open an account today. Insured by NCUA, an agency of the federal government.
Hometown, your hometown station.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. Today we're live in the KHTS studio in beautiful downtown Newhall, California. And today we're talking about how to create an extraordinary relationship. The title says how to have an extraordinary relationship.
Got to create it first.
But I shifted it,
Yeah.
in order for you to be open to the possibility that if you want to have it, you have to create it. Now, people are going to go, great, Alex, how do I create that? So here's the magical ingredients to how to create an extraordinary relationship. You have to focus on who you're being in a relationship. So it goes back to the be, do, have principle. If you've ever heard my show and learned what be, do, have means. Be, do, have means, and it implies that who you're being in a relationship dictates what you're doing, thus creating what it is that you have. So if you want to have an extraordinary relationship with someone, you have to focus more on who I'm being. So if I want to have more fun in my relationship, guess what? I have to be fun in my relationship.
If you want to feel more loved, be more loving.
That's right. You got to be loving. If you want more excitement in your relationship,
Be exciting.
you have to be exciting in your relationship. If you want inspiration,
Be inspirational.
you have to be inspirational. So it goes back to who you're being in your relationship that's causing the experience. So now let's reverse it. If my relationship is boring, who am I being?
You're being boring.
You're being boring in your
person.
relationship. If my relationship is dull,
You're being dull.
you're being what's called dull or just aloof in your relationship, which is causing the dull feeling. And there's a possibility that you're expecting your husband to be bringing it, or you're expecting your wife to be bringing or causing that experience for you.
Doesn't happen.
Well, it does for some people in early relationships, except that it's dependent on them.
Yeah.
Right now, I guarantee you, there are millions of people that have married their partner because that other person is being in a specific way in their life that the person over here doesn't know how to access that well. So if I married
that's what's
someone,
attractive.
yes,
That's that opposites attract
That's right.
thing.
So if I marry an excited, vivacious, bubbly, fun, excited person, I get to be in a relationship with that person.
I get to experience that through them.
That's right. And that person brings it into the relationship. However, now your joy, your excitement, your fun is dependent on that person bringing it.
And when it stops.
And when it does stop,
changes.
And it might not. If you're blessed to have somebody that always brings it for 30, 40, 60 years in a relationship, hey, you grabbed on the coattails. You're riding the coattails of a champion workhorse, right?
Right.
However, if it doesn't, if that person all of a sudden goes through a dry spell, or they go through some major failures or some trauma, or they get cancer or a sickness or an illness, or they go through some times where now they're no longer able to bring that anymore, you start questioning your relationship because unconsciously you thought the relationship was like that automatically. You didn't realize that your partner was causing that. Your partner was being that, and because they were being that, they were being it in your relationship. So then it was infectious, and then you got to ride along that train, the happy train.
Do much.
Not really, just show up and be excited and watching what they're doing, and you get to ride along the happy train.
That's not reality.
So I want to open up this possibility that if you're waking up and realize, oh my God, that's exactly the way my relationship is, I never seen it before, or you're identifying it. The good news is that you can decide now that if my partner brings 80% of the excitement and the fun and the joy, and I only bring 10% or 15%, I got to start learning how to start
stepping it up,
developing that within me, so that I can. It's like a potluck, and your partner creates 80% of the potluck, and you bring your one dish of cranberries. And
Thanksgiving's coming.
And every potluck that you've had is you go around telling your whole family and friends what an amazing potluck we have. I'm so proud of it. There's like 50 different dishes. When you come here, it's always a fun party at our potluck. Yeah, but Tommy brings 80% of it. You bring your one dish of cranberries. Or Jennifer cooks 80% of it. You bring, the champagne or whatever it is. So you got to start realizing, you know what? I got to start learning how to cook some more dishes so I can bring 3 more dishes to the potluck, 7 more dishes, 12 more dishes, so that if something happens to Tommy or Jennifer, I can go, I got the potluck.
Don't worry
about it.
Covered. Don't you worry.
That's right. And that's one of the things that I love about the relationship that I have with my wife when it comes to leadership and so many other things. But right now I just thought of leadership. When we were younger in our early 20s, we embarked on this personal development, conscious journey of leadership development, developing the leaders within ourselves. And we went through those rigorous challenges and how to challenge ourselves and how to think outside the box and how to create from nothing. And it's one of the things that I love about being in partnership with her as husband and wife and as mom and dad or parents to our kids, or just partnership in the household. There are things that when stuff happens, and let's say I'm on my way flying out, and I can't handle stuff. She's the type of person that I can go to bed at night in my hotel room
and all good.
I know she knows how to handle it because she has developed herself in a way that she can just step up and handle things. Some people have it, some don't. Some have to just learn how to develop that.
That's very true.
So it's so reassuring, and there's so much freedom in knowing that your partner, if I'm not feeling good today, and my partner recognizes that, he or she's stepping up to take on the responsibility of, hey, you know what? You might not feeling well today, honey, but Thanksgiving is going to be an amazing Thanksgiving anyways.
And it's not like you have to ask. It's this flow that goes back and forth.
That's right.
That's the beauty of it.
It's a partnership knowing, hey, my wife's not feeling good right now, so you know what, guys, hey, we're going to, and you just step up.
You just step up. You take care of it.
And you start bringing your plates to the potluck because you already know that you can create the fun, create the excitement. You bring the joy. You bring whatever it is to the party that is the meaning and the fulfillment and the joy of whatever the relationship is.
I think what I'm hearing here, correct me if I'm inaccurate, what I'm hearing is really learning how to be responsible for who you are and how you show up, and how you interact with other people. I spent a long time, years, with so many expectations of what other people should be doing, should be thinking, should be. And I didn't really take a lot of time on, well, what about me? What should I be thinking? What should I be doing? And the more you understand how important your own responsibility is, the better everything looks, because you have no control over everybody else, even though you think you do by having expectations of them. You don't. You have nothing. So there's this constant level of disappointment that just eats at you. When you let that go and start to go inside and start to say, okay, it's my responsibility. It's not theirs. It really takes on a whole new conversation.
Absolutely. And that's a mindset.
Yes.
The mindset is called, I am responsible for my own experiences. I am the cause and I am the source of what I feel in every given moment. And it's not your responsibility, Ellen, every time we get together to bring the fun and the excitement, to be interesting enough for me to spend time with you. If we're going to get together, I'm going to bring that. And then whatever you bring, but I'm not going to be dependent on what you bring. Because I got my own.
Right.
If I'm bringing
You're
my own
just going to show up.
If I'm bringing my own joy, my own love, right? If I come in with 12 dishes and you got one or none, it's like, hey,
okay,
come have some of mine.
Right.
Right?
I'll share.
Yeah. No matter where I go, if I'm bringing joy, fun, excitement, and I know how to cause and create that and be the source of that, then I'm not dependent on anybody. I can have fun sitting at a bus stop for 5 hours or sit at the airport waiting for 10 canceled flights, and then when I get home, it's like, how was your day? It was
great.
I
It was
enjoyed
fun.
I enjoyed it. There were things that I made fun, and I created my own joy sitting there at the airport.
Gosh, it's this ability to self-create, which is, once you even get the concept of it, it's joyous. It creates a lot. At least for me, it creates a lot of joy when I realize what's going on inside me.
Yeah, and before you can get to that stage or even embark on the mindset, you possibly might have to give up some things.
Okay.
Threw you for a loop, didn't I?
Yeah.
You'd have to.
But I'm okay with
I
that.
know you are. You'd have to possibly give up some of the payoffs that you get for not taking responsibility for your own joy and your own excitement in your relationship. So what does that mean? That means that you'd have to give up being the victim to him or her because they don't cause it for you.
Yeah, but that's really great to give that up.
I know it's really great, but some of us might be addicted to being the victim because I get to blame you. So every time we go out somewhere and it's not good enough for me, who do I get to blame?
Well, yeah,
The other person.
You choose to blame the other
That's
person.
right.
Yeah.
But if I'm a victim in my life and I'm
Correct.
always blaming someone else for not having my experience be what I thought it was or I expected it to be, then I get to always blame other people.
And it's never you.
It's never me because I'm spending time with
everybody
you.
else.
Why didn't you make tonight more special? How come you don't always engage in conversation with me? How come you don't tell me how beautiful I am? How come you don't? I get to always blame other people. And so some of us that have been doing that for 10, 20, 50, 80 years, we've created a habit of being a victim and blaming other people for what we don't have or what we really would love to have or yearn for in our relationships.
So it's a little scary to make
yeah.
that switch.
You'd have to be willing to give that up. And I'll tell you right now, that's a very challenging thing for someone to do. Because if someone has enabled you for 40 years in your marriage to not have to lift a finger and not have to bring anything to the potluck, then you don't know what it's like. You're lost. You're like, huh?
Yeah. What now?
You want me to put a pan on the stove?
How do I do that?
Yeah. What do you mean? You know what I mean? So, and it could be the opposite. If you're the person who's always bringing the joy and always bringing the fun, and your gripe is, how come I have to bring all of it? Why do you always want me to bring everything to the party? What about you? Well, there's a good possibility that you have enabled that person for such a long time to not have to lift a foot or a finger to create anything in that relationship.
Yeah.
And that's a tough one.
Big.
That's a tough one to really look at and go, oh my God.
And I think we all have either large bits of that or small bits of that or whatever in all of our relationships, not just our partners.
That's right.
With our kids, our friends, whatever. I think that falls all over all of those kinds of relationships. And it's fascinating, though, that just thinking about it, you can take a step back and kind of look at all your relationships and go, that one, I'm going to need to shift that one over there. This one, a nice balance between us. But it gives you a chance to kind of reflect and make changes. I'm going to make some changes.
That's right. And I want to invite you meaning whoever's listening to me right now, I'm speaking to you. I'm going to invite you to take 100% accountability for your experience in your own relationship, because it's possible, because it can actually look like that, whether you know about it or not, or someone has never taught you or not. It is possible to live your life taking 100% accountability for your own experience. You might have to do some work. You might have to learn how. You might have to practice. You might have to have someone teach you or coach you or mentor you into operating as though I get to create my own joy, my own fun, my own happiness, my own freedom in my relationship.
It's my life.
And so if you're able to operate from that place, there should really never be a moment where you stop and go, you know what? You're not doing it for me anymore. I want a separation. I need a divorce because something changed in you.
You
unless the person's being abusive. I always have people, they'll email me or Facebook me and go,
of course.
What if you're in an abusive relationship?
Then,
so
of course.
Let's take that off the table.
Yeah.
If you're with a loving person who just somehow slowly started to disconnect or going through their own, stalling motion in their journey, and the spark's not there, the connection's not there, the joy, the fun's not there anymore, I want you to stop and go, you know what, Alex, how do I take responsibility for this? How instead of continuing to blame my partner, my wife, my husband, and wanting them or needing them to always be bringing that. What if I could bring it and start it? And then as I'm starting it, I get to invite the other person. Hey, I want you to come in partnership with me. I want you to come contribute. Now, if the other person doesn't want no part of it and doesn't want to grow, and then just says, you know what, I'm fine the way it is, that's a different conversation. If the other person is immovable and you've turned yourself inside and out to try to inspire your partner to want to put into the relationship, to even just decide to go into the kitchen to possibly make a dish.
An egg.
Yeah, even if it's a bowl of cereal.
Whatever it is.
If they're just like, no, I'm not, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Then you might want to consider, okay, well then maybe we need to talk about where we're going, because it seems like we're both growing in different directions. But if there's a valid, like, no, honey, I love you and I want to make this work, then there's a possibility that you can teach the other person, or you can find someone to help teach you guys both.
You get that smallest shred of willingness.
That's right.
You're
still in the game.
You're still in the game.
but you can't play the game if your partner doesn't want to play.
That's right.
And you can't force them, and it might take for you to keep
the
inviting until one day you get to the point where you go, you know what, I've turned myself inside and out.
Yeah.
And I can't figure out how to inspire this person.
Sometimes you just can't.
It might take the separation.
Yeah.
I've actually coached people through separations, and I said, you know what? I've tried to help you now for 6 months to try to figure out how to inspire her or him. Maybe the separation is what's needed to cause a wake-up call in your partners. Now, out of 10 relationships, a separation will wake up about three out of those 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have thought it would be flipped.
No, it's usually from my experience.
Okay.
I'm not saying I don't.
Right.
I'm not the guru of all
Right.
stats, but from my experience, out of every 10 relationships that they go into a separation, 3 of those out of the 10 will wake up their other partner because they needed to know what it's like to not have their
them.
partner in their life every single day, for them to have that wake up call and go, oh my God. Now I
have to do something.
Now I appreciate you. Now it makes sense. Like they needed that little time
And
out.
that's okay.
Absolutely. And then the 3 out of those 10, they end up having that awakening. They get back together, and then that relationship
they get
becomes
to work together.
That relationship goes to a whole nother level, and it becomes extraordinary. Now, 7 out of those 10. Am I doing the math right?
Yes.
7 out of the 10.
7 plus 3, yeah.
Those will go into separation, and then what happens is they get clear that
they don't want to be there.
They just or they make sense of it that, maybe it just ran its course, or maybe in the beginning we were just so unconscious that we attracted each other, but we never really developed a substance.
Yes.
We never really built
The
a
core,
foundation.
a real core.
It was real surfacey, and we
Yeah.
grinded it out for 10 years
Yeah.
or 30 years or however long it was, and it ran its course. But the relationship would have demanded for both of them to develop and grow and keep evolving. And if one of you's immovable, one of you can't grow and the other one stays stuck, you're going to just outgrow each other.
And it happens.
It happens all the time. So a lot of times when I coach couples, I'm going to tell them there's good news and bad news. No, really,
Yeah.
I'll tell them. The good news is that one of you has awakened, and from that awakening, you're on this growth process. And if I'm just sitting with that person, I'm going to say, you're going to now the challenge is on to enroll your partner with the deepest part of your heart to want to grow with you. Now, they don't have to grow with you in exactly the growth.
No.
They just have to
moving.
they have to just be trotting in that direction.
Moving.
If the person is immovable, at a certain point, you outgrow that person. And that once you hit that one breaking point, that's one step past, you can't come back. And so the good news is that if your partner loves you that much and is willing to take some, even if it's baby steps, we can get you guys on that path.
Baby steps.
What a great conversation. I love having these conversations because it reminds me too that I'm responsible for my own relationship. So every time I want to stop and go look at my wife and go, hey, how come you, and I got to bite on something and go, ugh.
Take a step back.
Maybe it's because I haven't. Or maybe it's because I haven't either enrolled you into the value.
Such a great awareness to constantly bring to the forefront.
And can you imagine being in a relationship where both couples are constantly blaming each other?
Yeah.
And not one of them wants to go, all right, stop. I get to stop and look at how I contributed it, or where I'm not putting forth my best effort, or it just takes one of you. But to have both of you on that 100% responsible for your relationship, it's an extraordinary experience.
Absolutely.
Are we running out of time? That's it? That's it. Thank you, Ellen, for being here. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate you. Oh, we got one more minute? We got one more break. So let's go.
You are so passionate about talking about this that
time flies.
Time flies.
Then let's go on a break, and we come back. We'll wrap up this segment.
Okay.
Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
The city of Santa Clarita has so much going on this year. Be on the lookout for amazing events happening throughout the year, including the Cowboy Festival, concerts in the park, Thursdays at New Hall, and the Santa Clarita Marathon. There are also a number of fun activities and things to do year-round, including outdoor recreation, hiking and bike trails, adult classes, art exhibits, youth sports programs, and more. You can even sign up to be a volunteer. Learn more at santa-clarita.com.
La Esmeralda is home to truly authentic Mexican food. This family-owned restaurant prides itself on its fresh-to-order menu. Even the tortillas are made in-house. If you have a taste for sizzling fajitas, flautas, or menudo, you have to try La Esmeralda's Mexican and seafood restaurant. Dine in or order out for the most authentic Mexican food Santa Clarita has to offer. Their Taco Tuesdays, it'll turn you into a regular. La Esmeralda on Bouquet at Haskell.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show. Today we're talking about how to create an extraordinary relationship, because in order to have one, you have to decide that you're going to create it. Unless you got lucky and found somebody who naturally just brings the joy and the excitement and the fun and the brings the extraordinary to your relationship for forever. God forbid they decide not to, or they lose interest, or something or they're fed up because you haven't learned how to bring anything. They just decide, I want a partner that's bringing equal effort to the relationship. Then you're gonna have to learn how to bring your own joy, bring your own excitement, learn how to bring the kinds of experiences that make life fun and fulfilling.
I know for many people that may sound daunting.
What part is daunting?
Being so responsible.
Oh, I see.
If you haven't been responsible for years and years, and now someone is, sharing with you that if you really want to grow this relationship into something remarkable, now you are required to, do these things. It's daunting, but I think it's exciting.
It is, knowing that you can bring whatever you want into your own current experience. But I got to tell you this, as you're saying that, there have been plenty of people that when they come for a consultation or they come for some coaching and they realize through the model that which I described, which brings true freedom and true joy and into every relationship, they decide that's too much work and it's too hard. I'm just going to keep jumping on to the next shiny ship.
Wow.
And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you can keep finding the shiny ships. Here's the drawback to that. When you go from ship to ship to ship and you're now, I don't know, in your 50s or even in your 40s, and your ship is not that shiny, other shiny ships are attracted to your not so shiny ship. And you can't find shiny ships to partner with anymore.
Be careful with that.
No, really.
Right.
Like I'll have, I'll have someone that will just jump from shiny ship to shiny ship, but at a certain point they can't attract a shiny ship anymore. So they settle with either no ship, and then they get themselves a dog. And they, now have unconditional love with their dog and decide, I'm just going to have the relationship with my pet.
And I'm all good here.
And I'm all good. And they give up on human relationships. Not that that's bad, because I don't want animal people to be texting me saying, hey.
I love my Lexi.
So do I.
But it's just, it amazes me, having begun my journey, even at this late stage in my life, how
blessed are you?
How blessed am I? How exciting is this? How great is it that I get to do this? And it's challenging for me to understand, why wouldn't everybody want to have this enjoyment, this excitement?
I'll tell you exactly why, because it would force you to change.
Isn't that exciting?
Not for everyone, no.
Okay.
It scares people to death to have to change. It's like the hundreds and the thousands of parents that come to me and want me to work with their kids because their kids now aren't listening to them, or their bad behavior issues. And so when they sit with me and I start opening up now, introducing them to the possibility that if you want your kids to change, there needs to be some changes with you, even the minor ones.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, no, I don't want that. I just want you to change my kids. I just want you to fix my kids. That's why I'm hiring you. And I got to explain to them, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it really does.
Now, when your son or daughter turns 19, 25, and then they're on their own and they come to me and they want to work on themselves, then I can do that.
Right.
But while they're in your household and you're the manager, you're the leader, you're the one in charge, the only way to course correct your son or daughter's behaviors, you have to make some changes as a parent, because they're a mere reflection of whatever parenting shortcomings you have. But if you start course correcting yourself as a parent and as a human being and start changing and growing, you're going to start noticing Melissa open up a little bit more. You're going to notice Tommy engaging with the family more, or listening to you more, or trusting more. So parents don't realize that they have to change. Change seems to be one of the most scariest things, and it's just from my experience. They used to say that public speaking was the number one fear in the world, and I don't necessarily know if that's the truth anymore, especially with social media and everybody going on Facebook Lives and everyone wants to be a celebrity and be the gurus and all that. It doesn't seem like public speaking is the number one fear anymore. I feel like change is one of the biggest fears, and it just scares people to death to want to be able to change to improve their life.
Wow. It's, I hope that people listening realize change is exciting. It's exciting and joyful.
It's exciting because I think you've embraced the willingness to change, and you've pushed past the fear and had some breakthroughs. Now that's the initial part. If you can, it's almost like, I'm trying to think of something that you do that, you take, maybe it's like medicine or putting contacts in your eyes, and you're just like, there's this period there where if you get past the first week of poking your eyeball, all of a sudden now it just becomes, it's easy now.
Why haven't I done this before?
Or why can't
I wear contacts?
Or why can't? Or you look at everyone else and go, you sissy, you can't. You know what I mean?
You can't put a little thing in your eye.
And you're sitting there going, But if you get past that stage and have the breakthrough on the other end, it's easy. You've already gone past that. So, I'm compassionate for the people that when the fear comes up, they just got to hang in there long enough to have the breakthrough on the other end.
Gotcha.
Thanks for hanging out with me today on this beautiful segment, and I hope that all of you are creating some extraordinary relationships for you and your family. That's all with time we have. Thanks for listening to the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.